There are nights when a sentence seems to know your name before you even hear it. Not because the world has singled you out for a prediction, not because someone is coming back, not because one person has finally understood what they lost. This is quieter than that. It is the feeling of recognizing yourself in words you have needed for a long time. You may have spent years becoming easy to keep, easy to reach when someone was lonely, easy to call when they needed comfort, easy to depend on when things fell apart, easy to postpone, easy to leave uncertain, easy to ask for patience from, easy to give half an answer to, easy to keep waiting because you were compassionate enough to understand every excuse. You may have told yourself this was kindness. Sometimes it was. Sometimes it was fear wearing kindness's clothes. Fear that if you asked for clarity, someone would pull away. Fear that if you spoke plainly about what hurt, you would be called difficult. Fear that if you stopped reaching first, the silence would tell you something you did not want to know. Fear that if you needed more, you would become too much. Fear that if you stopped making things easy for everyone else, no one would make the effort to stay. You learned to become flexible when your heart needed steadiness. You learned to be patient when your body was already tense. You learned to laugh things off while a quiet part of you was keeping score. Not a bitter score, a tired one. The kind that remembers how often you were the first to ask if everything was all right. How often you checked the phone. How often you reread a short message and tried to find warmth inside it. How often you explained your own needs before you even said what they were. How often you softened your disappointment so the other person would not feel uncomfortable. How often you accepted confusion because you thought certainty had to be earned. How often you gave more because you hoped generosity would make you harder to lose. None of this makes you foolish. It makes you human. A tender heart can turn hope into a job. It can begin working overtime to keep a connection alive. It can start filling every silence, carrying every conversation, repairing every distance, interpreting every mixed signal, forgiving every delay, and finding reasons not to take another person's lack of effort personally. You can become very skilled at making uncertainty feel reasonable. You can say they are busy, they are stressed, they have been hurt before, they are not expressive, they need space, they do care, just differently, they will speak when they are ready, they are trying in their own way. Sometimes every one of those things may be true. Still, there is another truth that deserves room beside them. Your experience matters too. The ache in your chest when you do not know where you stand matters. The small humiliation of always being the one who reopens the door matters. The way your mood shifts according to someone else's attention matters. The tiredness that follows too much guessing matters. The parts of you that keep shrinking to protect a fragile connection matter. You do not have to make anyone wrong to take your own experience seriously. This is one of the most important forms of self-respect. You can understand another person and still decide that the way a connection feels is not healthy for you. You can have compassion and still ask for consistency. You can care and still stop carrying the whole bridge. You can wish someone well and still stop volunteering for confusion. You can remember the good and still refuse to live on memories. You can hold affection without handing it control over your peace. The heart becomes exhausted when it is always negotiating against itself. One part says, "I need more." Another says, "Do not ask for too much." One part says, "This hurts." Another says, "Be understanding." One part says, "I want to feel chosen." Another says, "Be grateful for what you get." One part says, "I feel alone here." Another says, "At least you have something." That inner argument can continue for years. It does not always look dramatic from the outside. You can function beautifully and still be emotionally waiting. You can work, laugh, take care of people, answer messages, make dinner, pay bills, celebrate birthdays, show up, get things done, and still have part of your attention living at the doorway of someone else's decision. That waiting changes the shape of your days. You may not call it waiting. You may call it patience. You may call it loyalty. You may call it giving things time. You may call it being mature. But if your peace depends on someone becoming clearer, kinder, steadier, more avail, able, more honest, or more certain, then part of your life has been placed in hands that are not yours. Tonight is not about taking those hands and forcing them to do better. It is about taking your life back into your own. No speech is required. No dramatic exit is required. No punishment is required. No performance of indifference is required. You do not need to become cold to stop overextending yourself. You do not need to pretend you never cared. You do not need to erase what was beautiful. You do not need to rewrite another person as a villain. You only need to become honest about the cost of abandoning yourself. That cost is often paid quietly. You pay it when you say yes while feeling no. You pay it when you answer immediately because you are afraid not to. You pay it when someone repeatedly offers little and you respond by offering more. You pay it when you turn every disappointment into a reason to improve yourself. You pay it when you ask, "What is wrong with me?" instead of asking, "Is this actually meeting me?" You pay it when someone gives you uncertainty and you respond by becoming easier to understand. You pay it when they withdraw and you become more available. You pay it when they stop trying and you increase your effort. You pay it when you begin proving your goodness instead of observing their capacity. This is where many tender people become confused. They think the answer to distance is more warmth. They think the answer to inconsistency is more patience. They think the answer to being overlooked is becoming more useful. They think the answer to not being chosen is becoming more impressive. They think the answer to being misunderstood is explaining themselves better. Sometimes communication helps. Sometimes patience is wise. Sometimes people do need time. Still, effort cannot create willingness inside another human being. You can make a door welcoming. You cannot make someone walk through it. You can tell the truth. You cannot make someone value truth. You can show up with care. You cannot turn another person's half presence into whole presence by doubling your own. This is not failure. It is a limit. Healthy connection has limits because human beings have freedom. That freedom belongs to them, and yours belongs to you. Your freedom begins to return when you stop measuring your value by another person's response. This can feel strange at first. If you have spent a long time reading faces, waiting for texts, sensing moods, smoothing tension, or anticipating withdrawal, your nervous system may have learned that closeness requires vigilance. You may feel safest when you are doing something, sending something, fixing something, explaining something, offering something, proving something, reassuring someone, staying available, watching for change. Movement can feel like control. Stillness can feel dangerous. When you are used to effort, peace may initially feel like neglect. You may mistake restraint for giving up. You may think that if you stop holding everything together, everything will fall apart, and something may fall apart. What falls apart without your constant effort may be showing you how much of it you were carrying alone. That is not a punishment. It is information. Good information can sting before it frees you. You do not have to rush to act on it. You only have to stop arguing with what you already know. You know the feeling of being considered. You know the feeling of being remembered. You know the difference between someone making room and someone making excuses. You know what it feels like when care is offered without being pulled from someone. You know what it feels like when interest does not need to be decoded. You know what it feels like when your body is not bracing for the next shift. You know. Even if you have doubted yourself, even if you have been told you are sensitive, even if you have learned to question your needs, even if you have compared yourself to people who seem more relaxed, less invested, less affected, your sensitivity is not the enemy. It becomes painful when it is used only to understand everyone else and never to listen to you. You have used perception outward for a long time. You have read tone. You have read silence. You have read delays. You have read posture. You have read patterns. You have read rooms. You have read what was not said. Now that same intelligence can come home. Instead of asking, what do they mean? Ask, what does this experience do to me? Instead of asking, how can I be easier to stay with? Ask, who do I become when I stay here? Instead of asking, how do I make this work? Ask, is there mutual work here at all? Instead of asking, what should I say? so they finally understand. Ask, how many times have I already made myself clear? Instead of asking, what if they leave? Ask, what am I leaving inside myself to prevent that? These are not questions for anger. They are questions for truth. Truth is quieter than panic. It does not need 10 arguments. It does not need a courtroom. It often arrives as a small internal sentence you have tried to drown out. This is costing me too much. I am tired of guessing. I do not feel safe being this uncertain. I keep giving and hoping it will become mutual. I keep explaining what respect should already look like. I am afraid to ask for what I actually need. I am carrying something that should be shared. Those sentences are not accusations. They are coordinates. They help you locate yourself again. For a long time, you may have been located inside someone else's mood, someone else's availability, someone else's readiness, someone else's indecision, someone else's capacity to be present, someone else's willingness to communicate. When Louise Hay came closer, you relaxed. When they went quiet, you tightened. When they were warm, you felt hopeful. When they became distant, you searched yourself for the reason. That pattern can make another person feel larger than life, not because they are more powerful than you, because your attention has been trained around their movement. Attention is a form of devotion. Where it goes repeatedly, your inner world begins to organize itself. If your attention is constantly checking who is coming closer and who is pulling away, your emotional weather becomes tied to motion you cannot control. This is where the pursuit begins, not always in messages, not always in calls. Sometimes pursuit happens silently. You rehearse conversations. You imagine future explanations. You plan how to be more appealing. You check whether they saw something. You wonder what they are thinking. You replay the last interaction. You think of the perfect thing that would make them understand. You prepare to be chosen. This private reaching can be as exhausting as any visible reaching. It keeps you pointed outward. It keeps your sense of stability dependent on a response that may never come. It teaches your mind to search for signs instead of standing in facts. Facts are often much kinder than hope stretched beyond its natural shape. A fact might be, they have not made consistent effort. A fact might be, you have asked for clarity more than once. A fact might be, you feel anxious more often than secure. A fact might be, they say caring things, but their behavior remains unpredictable. A fact might be, your needs keep being treated like problems to postpone. A fact might be, you are more invested in potential than in what is actually happening. Facts do not have to destroy tenderness. They can protect it. Your heart deserves reality, not because reality is always comfortable, because reality is where choice becomes possible. When you see what is happening, you can respond from dignity instead of desperation. You can stop trying to earn what should be freely offered. You can stop performing calm while privately unraveling. You can stop calling crumbs a feast because you are afraid of an empty table. You can stop confusing longing with compatibility. You can stop confusing chemistry with care. You can stop confusing intensity with safety. You can stop confusing being wanted sometimes with being valued consistently. You can stop confusing someone's potential with their current capacity. These distinctions matter. They are not cynical. They are mature. Real affection is not threatened by maturity. It becomes clearer through it. If a connection is healthy, your self-respect does not ruin it. Clear boundaries do not destroy what is capable of mutual care. Honest needs do not frighten someone who has room for them. And if true, they exposes a connection that depends on your silence, your overgiving, or your fear of loss, then truth has not harmed you. Truth has revealed the arrangement. There is grief in that. You may need to grieve what you hoped would happen. You may need to grieve the version of someone you kept waiting for. You may need to grieve the future you rehearsed in your mind. You may need to grieve the years spent trying to become undeniable. Grief does not mean you made the wrong choice by caring. It means your heart invested meaning somewhere. Honor that. Do not mock your former self. Do not look back and say, "How could I have tolerated that?" Look back with tenderness. You were trying to protect connection with the tools you had. You were trying to stay close without losing love. You were trying to make sense of old lessons. Some people learned early that peace came from being pleasing. Some learned that needs caused conflict. Some learned that attention had to be earned. Some learned that affection arrived unpredictably. Some learned to become useful because usefulness felt safer than simply being cherished. Some learned to study other people's moods because that reduced surprises. Some learned to stay quiet because honesty cost too much. Some learned to overgive because giving created temporary closeness. Those lessons can follow you into adult relationships without announcing themselves. You do not think, "I must earn care." You just work very hard for it. You do not think, "My needs are dangerous." You just postpone them. You do not think, "I am afraid of abandonment." You just become intensely available. You do not think, "I distrust consistency." You just feel more chemistry with unpredictability. You do not think, "I am trying to prove I am lovable." You just keep choosing situations where love has to be won. Old lessons are clever that way. They hide inside habits. Then habits begin to feel like personality. You say, "I am just a giver. I am just loyal. I am just patient. I am just sensitive. I am just someone who fights for people." There is beauty in all of those qualities. Still, every beautiful quality needs a boundary. Generosity without a boundary becomes depletion. Loyalty without a boundary becomes self-betrayal. Patience without a boundary becomes delay. Sensitivity without a boundary becomes hypervigilance. Commitment without a boundary becomes captivity. Care without a boundary becomes a place where you disappear. A boundary does not make your heart smaller. It gives your heart a home. This is the part many people fear. They think boundaries are walls. They think self-respect means becoming hard. They think pulling back effort means becoming manipulative. They think not reaching first is a strategy. They think silence must be used to make someone miss them. That is not what you are learning here. You are not withholding to create a reaction. You are not becoming distant to trigger pursuit. You are not pretending not to care. You are not playing a game. You are ending the game. The game says, if I act the right way, maybe I can control the outcome. The game says, if I become more desirable, less needy, more mysterious, more useful, more forgiving, more patient, more impressive, then maybe I can secure someone's affection. Self-respect says, I do not need to control someone else's choice in order to honor my own. That sentence changes the atmosphere inside you. It returns you to your side of life. Your side contains your voice, your time, your attention, your body, your home, your sleep, your friendships, your work, your creativity, your decisions, your boundaries, your healing, your future. Your side of life is already full. It only felt empty when all your attention was standing at someone else's door. Come back, not dramatically, not all at once. Come back in small decisions. Do not send the extra explanation tonight. Do not rewrite the message 5 times. Do not invent a reason for behavior that keeps hurting you. Do not volunteer more effort to compensate for someone else's absence. Do not turn your longing into a verdict about your value. Do not treat silence as an exam you must pass. Do not become smaller to make uncertainty easier to tolerate. Come back to what is here. The bed beneath you, the air in the room. The fact that your life continues even when someone does not answer. The fact that tomorrow has not asked you to solve tonight. The fact that your identity is larger than any one connection. The fact that you can survive clarity. The fact that you can survive disappointment. The fact that you can survive being misunderstood by someone who was not ready to understand. The fact that you can disappoint others and remain a good person. The fact that you can change your mind. The fact that you can ask for more. The fact that you can leave room for another person's freedom without abandoning your own. There is a quiet strength in no longer negotiating your basic needs. Not because your needs are commands, not because everyone must meet them, because you are permitted to choose relationships where important needs can be met with respect. This is where your inner life begins to settle. You stop asking, how do I get them to treat me differently? You begin asking, what do I continue participating in? That shift is powerful because it is honest. You cannot manage another person's character. You can decide what access they have to you. You cannot make someone communicate clearly. You can decide what you do with repeated ambiguity. You cannot make someone prioritize you. You can decide whether chronic postponement belongs in your life. You cannot make someone recognize your depth. You can stop auditioning for recognition. You cannot force mutual effort. You can stop supplying both halves. This is not about superiority. It is not about declaring yourself too valuable for ordinary human mistakes. Everyone disappoints. Everyone gets tired. Everyone has seasons of limited capacity. Everyone misunderstands. Everyone sometimes needs grace. A healthy boundary makes room for humanity. It does not make endless room for patterns that keep injuring you. There is a difference between an imperfect person and an arrangement that repeatedly asks you to abandon yourself. You can learn that difference. You can trust yourself with it. You do not have to become suspicious. You do not have to scan every interaction for danger. You only need to stop overriding your own experience. When something feels confusing, you can ask. When something hurts, you can say so. When something repeats, you can pay attention. When someone cannot meet you, you can believe what is being shown without turning it into a judgment on your desirability. This is where pursuit loses its grip. Pursuit often begins in doubt. Doubt says, I must do more or I will lose this. Doubt says, if I stop moving, I may not matter. Doubt says, I need to prove my place. Calm self-respect sounds different. It says, I can care without campaigning. It says, I can be open without being over-available. It says, I can express interest without performing for acceptance. It says, I can let another person show me what they choose. It says, I do not need to chase clarity after clarity has already been given through behavior. There is no magic in this. There is psychology. When you press too hard for reassurance, you often increase your own anxiety because every response becomes a test. When you organize yourself around another person's reaction, your brain learns that safety lives outside you. When you keep pursuing uncertain contact, anticipation can become more stimulating than steadiness. When you repeatedly ignore your own boundaries, your confidence becomes weaker because you stop believing that your own no will protect you. This is why calm matters, not as a trick, not as bait, not as a way to seem more desirable. Calm matters because it returns your nervous system to you. It gives you enough inner space to observe instead of react. It helps you tell the difference between longing and alignment. It helps you ask whether a connection supports the person you are becoming. It helps you hear the answer that panic keeps interrupting. The answer may not arrive as a dramatic realization. It may be a soft shift. You stop checking. You stop composing the speech. You stop trying to rescue the image you had. You stop explaining why basic consideration matters. You stop hoping your exhaustion will finally make someone see how deeply you care. You stop turning pain into proof of devotion. Then something unexpected happens. You begin to hear yourself again. Your preferences return. Your appetite returns. Your humor returns. Your time feels like your own. Your body is less occupied by waiting. Your mind has room for things that have nothing to do with being chosen. This is not the end of tenderness. It is the beginning of tenderness that includes you. For tonight, that is enough to carry. You do not need the whole answer. You do not need to decide the future before sleep. You do not need to become a new person by morning. You only need to stop betraying the quiet part of you that already knows when something asks too much and gives too little. Let that part sit beside you now, not as an alarm, as a witness. It has watched you work hard for closeness. It has watched you make excuses because hope felt kinder than truth. It has watched you turn your own needs down so low that you almost could not hear them. It has waited without shaming you. It is still here. And tonight, for once, you can listen. Listening changes what you are willing to call normal. It changes the meaning of effort. It changes the meaning of patience. It changes the meaning of staying. For a long time, you may have believed that effort proved devotion. If you cared deeply, you tried harder. If something became uncertain, you moved closer. If someone pulled away, you searched for the right words. If they became harder to reach, you became easier to reach. If they offered less, you found ways to need less. This can feel noble because it comes from sincerity. You were not trying to manipulate anyone. You were trying to protect something precious. You were trying to keep connection alive. You were trying to prevent a painful ending. You were trying to show that you could be trusted. Still, there is a point where effort stops expressing care and starts expressing fear. That point can be difficult to see from inside the pattern. Fear often speaks in responsible language. Try again. Be patient. Give them another chance. Explain yourself more clearly. Do not be demanding. Do not make a big deal out of this. They have a lot going on. You can handle a little more. You have already invested so much. Do not give up now. These thoughts can sound mature while quietly asking you to carry what belongs to two people. Real partnership does not require one person to become the emotional engine for both. There may be seasons when one gives more because the other is struggling. There may be illness, grief, pressure, family trouble, exhaustion, uncertainty, or practical hardship. Human relationships are not perfectly balanced every day. Balance is not a mathematical split. It is the deeper sense that both people are participating, both are reachable, both care about repair, both can hear discomfort without turning it into punishment, but make some movement toward the middle. That movement matters. Without it, one person begins walking the entire distance. At first, this may feel generous. Over time, it becomes lonely. You begin to anticipate what the other person will not do. You make plans around their inconsistency. You prepare backup explanations. You lower expectations before disappointment can arrive. You tell yourself you are being realistic. In truth, you may be training yourself to accept less pain by expecting less care. This is one of the quietest forms of self-abandonment. Not because you should expect perfection, because you should not have to reduce yourself to survive a connection. When your needs repeatedly become an inconvenience, you start editing yourself before anyone else can. You become less spontaneous, less direct, less honest. You ask yourself whether each feeling is valid before you speak. You rehearse ordinary requests as if preparing for negotiation. You become careful with your tone, careful with timing, careful with how much you say, careful with how quickly you respond, careful with how much affection you show, careful with how much disappointment you reveal. Eventually, you are no longer relating freely. You are managing risk. That management creates pressure inside you, and pressure has consequences. When you believe the outcome depends on doing everything correctly, every interaction becomes loaded. A delayed reply is no longer just a delayed reply. It becomes evidence. A warm message becomes relief. A short message becomes danger. A canceled plan becomes a referendum on your importance. A good weekend creates hope. A quiet Monday erases it. You begin living in emotional weather that changes according to signals you cannot control. That is exhausting because the mind is not built to remain on watch without cost. When uncertainty lasts too long, the mind searches harder for certainty. It looks for patterns. It fills gaps. It rehearses possibilities. It imagines explanations. It predicts rejection. Then it tries to prevent the rejection it predicted. You reach, you clarify, you reassure, you offer more. For a moment, action reduces anxiety. You feel as though you are doing something. Then the relief fades. Soon you need another response, another sign, another conversation, another moment of closeness. This is how pursuit can become self-reinforcing. Not because you are weak, because the nervous system learns quickly. If reaching produces occasional reassurance, reaching becomes tempting whenever uncertainty returns. The relief may be brief, but the mind remembers it. So you reach again. This is why stepping out of the pattern can feel uncomfortable even when you know it is healthier. You are not only changing behavior, you are changing where you look for relief. For a while, the old impulse may still rise. Send the message. Check again. Say more. Fix it now. Do not let distance grow. Your task is not to fight that impulse. Your task is to understand it. It is trying to protect you from the feeling of not knowing. You can thank that part of yourself without obeying it. You can say inwardly, I know you want certainty. You can say, I know waiting feels vulnerable. You can say, I know you are afraid silence means rejection. You can say, we do not have to buy temporary relief with self-abandonment. That is a different kind of strength. It is quiet. It does not need an audience. It may look like putting the phone down. It may look like sleeping before the conversation is resolved. It may look like letting someone have the space to reveal their own level of interest. It may look like not volunteering a fourth explanation after the first three were clear. It may look like letting behavior count as information. That last one can change everything. Words matter. Intentions matter. Circumstances matter. History matters. Behavior matters too. When you keep placing explanations above patterns, you can remain trapped in hope for a very long time. A person can mean well and still be unable to meet you. A person can care and still lack the capacity for the kind of closeness you need. A person can feel affection and still remain inconsistent. A person can be wounded and still wound you. Understanding why something happens does not require you to keep living inside it. That distinction protects compassion from turning into self-erasure. You do not have to hate anyone to step away from what repeatedly destabilizes you. You do not have to diagnose them. You do not need a label. You do not need to prove they are selfish. You do not need a final confession. You do not need them to agree with your version of events. Your experience is enough information to make a choice about your own participation. This is where inner authority begins. It begins when you stop requiring permission to believe what you have lived. If you felt dismissed again and again, that matters. If you were promised change and the pattern remained, that matters. If you kept leaving conversations more confused than before, that matters. If affection appeared mainly when you were pulling away, that matters. If you could never relax because closeness always felt temporary, that matters. None of these facts tell you what another person is inside. They tell you what the connection has been like for you. That is the part you are responsible for honoring. For many people, this is unfamiliar. They learn to give other people the benefit of the doubt while giving themselves the burden of proof. Someone else could be tired, overwhelmed, afraid, busy, uncertain. You had to produce evidence before you were permitted to feel hurt. You became your own cross-examiner. Was it really that bad? Did they mean it that way? Am I overreacting? Am I asking too much? Should I be more understanding? Could I have said it better? These questions are not always harmful. Reflection matters. Responsibility matters. But reflection becomes distorted when every conclusion points toward self-correction. A healthy inner life also asks different questions. Was I respected? Was I heard? Was there repair? Did the pattern improve? Could I be myself? Did I feel free to speak? Was effort mutual over time? Did my body spend more time settled than braced? Did I have to earn ordinary consideration? Was I becoming more myself or less? Those questions do not make you demanding. They help you remain present in your own life. You were never meant to become a supporting character in your own emotional world. Still, many people learn exactly that. They become experts in everyone else's needs. They know when someone needs encouragement. They sense when someone needs space. They recognize irritation before a word is spoken. They know when to make themselves smaller. They know when to change the subject. They know when to keep the peace. They know how to carry tension quietly. What they do not know is how to remain loyal to their own inner signal when someone else is displeased. That is where self-respect grows, not when everyone agrees with you. When you can remain connected to yourself during disagreement. When someone says you are asking too much, you do not immediately surrender your need. When someone becomes distant after a boundary, you do not instantly withdraw the boundary. When someone dislikes your no, you do not turn it into a reluctant yes. When someone cannot give you what you need, you do not convert their limitation into proof that your need is unreasonable. This is the difference between preference and self-betrayal. You can compromise on many things. Restaurant choices, weekend plans, travel routes, music, schedules, small habits, the ordinary details of sharing life. You do not have to compromise your way out of emotional safety. You do not have to negotiate yourself into accepting contempt. You do not have to normalize chronic dishonesty. You do not have to keep explaining why cruelty hurts. You do not have to stay available to someone who repeatedly frightens, threatens, controls, humiliates, or harms you. Care never requires that, and where harm is present, affirmations alone are not a plan. Real support matters. Practical help matters. Trusted people matter. Safety matters. That truth will return later because it deserves to be clear. For now, remember this: compassion for another person must never require abandonment of your own protection. You can be tender and discerning at once. You can have a soft heart and a clear line. You can understand someone's past without volunteering your future to it. You can forgive without reopening every door. You can care from a distance. You can release resentment without restoring access. You can wish someone healing without making yourself responsible for delivering it. This is adulthood of the heart. It is less dramatic than the stories people tell about romance. It does not always feel intoxicating. It feels steady. It feels breathable. It gives both people room to remain whole. There is a reason calm can feel unfamiliar if you have spent years mistaking uncertainty for passion. The body can become accustomed to the rise and fall. Distance, relief, distance, relief. A cold moment followed by warmth can feel intensely meaningful because the contrast is so strong. The nervous system registers the return of closeness as a release. That release can be mistaken for depth. Then steadiness can seem almost too quiet. There is no suspense to decode, no absence to repair, no dramatic return, no constant question about where you stand. At first, you might think something is missing. What may be missing is the alarm. You do not need alarm to recognize connection. You do not need fear to feel desire. You do not need instability to make affection important. You do not need deprivation to make attention precious. The heart can learn another rhythm. A rhythm where interest does not require pursuit, where care is not rationed, where directness does not create panic, where an unanswered message is not a threat to your identity, where differences can be discussed, where space does not automatically mean abandonment, where closeness does not require you to perform. This begins before any future relationship. It begins in the way you relate to yourself tonight. Can you give yourself the steadiness you keep hoping someone else will provide? Not every form of it. Human beings need one another. You are not meant to become emotionally self-sufficient to the point of isolation. But you can stop outsourcing your basic sense of value. You can stop asking another person's attention to tell you whether you are desirable. You can stop asking their consistency to tell you whether you are safe inside yourself. You can stop asking their choice to tell you whether your life is meaningful. Another person can add affection. They cannot manufacture your identity. Another person can choose you. They cannot create your right to exist fully. Another person can admire you. They cannot become the author of your dignity. Another person can leave. They cannot take your deepest self with them unless you keep handing it over. This is the restoration. Not becoming invulnerable, not becoming detached, not pretending you do not need anyone. Restoration means returning to the truth that closeness is something you participate in, not something you must qualify for. You were never meant to audition endlessly. Think about how many ways you may have auditioned without calling it that. Being extra agreeable, being endlessly available, looking perfect, acting unbothered, giving expensive gifts, offering emotional labor before trust was built, making excuses for behavior you would warn a friend about, trying to become indispensable, being the therapist, rescuer, organizer, caretaker, motivator, peacemaker, never asking for much, never wanting to seem difficult, never taking too long to answer, never showing jealousy, never asking where things are going, never saying, "This does not work for me." Auditions are tiring because you are never fully inside the relationship. Part of you is on stage. Part of you is watching for approval. Part of you is asking, "Am I doing well enough to be kept?" That question has an old root. It did not begin with the last person who disappointed you. It may have started much earlier. A childhood where praise came mostly when you achieved. A home where peace depended on being easy. A parent whose affection felt unpredictable. A family where you became mature too early. An environment where strong feelings were mocked. A relationship where you learned that speaking honestly led to withdrawal. A season when rejection arrived while your confidence was fragile. Experiences leave sentences behind. Be useful. Do not be needy. Do not cause trouble. Earn your place. Stay attractive. Stay helpful. Do not ask twice. Never let them see how much you care. Keep them happy. Do more. These sentences can live inside you long after you stop remembering where they came from. Then, one sentence gathers them all. I am not enough as I am. That sentence can become so familiar that it sounds like your own voice. It is not your original voice. It was learned from comparisons, learned from rejection, learned from criticism, learned from silence, learned from being chosen conditionally, learned from trying to make sense of circumstances that were larger than you. A child often assumes, if I were better, this would feel better. That idea creates the illusion of control. If the problem is me, then perhaps I can fix me. Then perhaps I can secure affection. Then perhaps I can prevent departure. Then perhaps I can become impossible to reject. It is a painful bargain, because no one can become impossible to reject. You can be kind and still be disliked, beautiful and still be left, faithful and still be betrayed, interesting and still be overlooked, generous and still be taken for granted, emotionally mature and still encounter someone unavailable. None of those outcomes can define your value. They reveal compatibility, timing, capacity, circumstance, choice, or character. Sometimes several at once. Your mind may still want to turn them inward. If I had been calmer, if I had looked better, if I had waited longer, if I had spoken sooner, if I had asked for less, if I had been less emotional, if I had been more confident, if I had not made that mistake. This search for the perfect past can go on forever. It cannot change what happened. It can only keep you on trial. You are allowed to retire from the trial. You are allowed to say, I did the best I could with the awareness I had then. You are allowed to say, I made mistakes and remain deserving of respect. You are allowed to say, I stayed too long because hope was strong. You are allowed to say, I ignored myself because I was afraid. You are allowed to say, I know more now. There is dignity in that sentence. I know more now. Not, I should have known. Not, I was stupid. Not, I wasted everything. I know more now. Knowledge becomes useful when it does not become a weapon against the person you used to be. Your former self deserves compassion. That version of you wanted closeness, wanted reassurance, wanted to believe, wanted to make things work, wanted to avoid another ending, wanted the story to become what it once seemed capable of becoming. There is nothing shameful about hope. The lesson is not to stop hoping. The lesson is to stop asking hope to overrule evidence. Hope can sit beside reality. Hope can say, I would like this to improve. Reality can say, this is what is happening now. Hope can say, they may grow. Reality can say, I cannot build my life around growth that has not happened. Hope can say, I care. Reality can say, caring does not require staying in uncertainty forever. Hope becomes safe when reality has an equal voice. This is how you begin to trust yourself again. Self-trust is not the belief that you will never make a mistake. It is the belief that you will remain with yourself when you do. You will listen sooner. You will speak more clearly. You will ask questions. You will observe actions. You will leave room for repair. You will stop calling repeated injury an accident. You will seek help when a situation is beyond what you can safely carry alone. You will not force yourself to endure something just to prove your loyalty. You will not punish yourself for wanting closeness. You will not turn rejection into identity. You will not turn another person's confusion into a permanent home. This is how the old sentence weakens. Not through one dramatic declaration, through hundreds of small acts of loyalty to yourself. You go to sleep instead of waiting for a reply. You keep a promise you made to your own body. You eat before anxiety steals your appetite. You answer when you are ready instead of when fear tells you to. You say what you mean without wrapping it in apology. You make plans that do not depend on someone's uncertain presence. You call the friend who makes you feel like yourself. You return to the work you neglect, and while waiting, you clean your space. You read. You walk. You rest. You create. You remember that your life contains doors no one else controls. Every act says the same thing without needing to speak it. I am staying with myself. That is how confidence returns, not as arrogance, as reliability. You become someone your own heart can rely on. When you say no, you mean it. When something hurts, you pay attention. When you need rest, you do not call yourself lazy. When you want clarity, you stop treating the desire as embarrassing. When you feel affection, you do not shame yourself for it. When another person cannot meet you, you do not automatically reduce your needs. When an ending comes, you grieve without turning grief into self-condemnation. The old belief begins to lose authority because your behavior no longer confirms it. You stop living as if you must earn a place. You begin living as if your place inside yourself is already secure. From there, everything changes slowly. Not every person changes. Not every relationship transforms. Not every hope becomes reality. You change your participation. You become less available for arrangements that depend on your self-doubt. You become more interested in reciprocity than intensity, more interested in steadiness than suspense, more interested in honesty than fantasy, more interested in whether you can breathe than whether you can impress, more interested in being known than being admired from a distance, more interested in shared effort than dramatic words. This is not lowering romance, it is raising reality. And reality has its own beauty, a message that does not need decoding, a plan that is kept, an apology that leads to changed behavior, a boundary that is heard, a disagreement that does not become punishment, a day where you do not wonder if you matter, a conversation where both people can tell the truth, a quiet evening where no one is trying to earn their place. These things may seem ordinary. Ordinary can be sacred when you have spent too long surviving uncertainty. You are learning to stop measuring connection by how intensely it occupies your mind. Something can occupy your mind because it is unresolved. That does not mean it belongs in your life. You are learning to measure differently. Does it support your peace? Does it make room for truth? Does it permit mutuality? Does it let you remain whole? Does it ask you to grow without asking you to disappear? Does it carry respect even when desire fluctuates? Does it leave room for both people's dignity? These are better questions. They lead you away from the old contest of proving yourself. The contest was never winnable. There was always another way to improve, another way to become prettier, calmer, smarter, more patient, more interesting, less available, more mysterious, more understanding, more successful, more desirable. The finish line kept moving because the problem was never your failure to become impressive enough. The problem was believing affection should be earned through performance. Healthy care is not wages. You do not clock in. You do not accumulate hours. You do not collect points for suffering quietly. You do not earn basic respect by demonstrating how much you can tolerate. Your tenderness is not a currency. Your patience is not a fee. Your body is not collateral. Your silence is not proof of maturity. Your loyalty is not an obligation to stay where you are diminished. Let these truths become less intellectual now. Let them move lower, into the shoulders, into the jaw, into the hands, into the place in your stomach that tightens when you fear someone is slipping away. You do not have to grab. You do not have to run after what is moving away. You do not have to persuade distance to become closeness. You can remain where you are for a moment and learn what happens when your dignity is not sent running ahead of you. There is information in that stillness. There is relief in it too. The kind of relief that does not depend on a reply. The kind that comes from no longer arguing against yourself. You are beginning to understand that being wanted is not the highest goal. Being met matters. Being respected matters. Being able to remain yourself matters. Being able to sleep matters. And tonight, your life does not need to be decided. It only needs to stop being chased by fear. Fear has spent enough time deciding how quickly you move. It has told you that if someone matters, you must hurry. Answer now, explain now, repair now, reach now. Make sure they know. Make sure they do not misunderstand. Make sure the distance does not grow. Make sure you remain important. Fear likes urgency because urgency leaves very little room for discernment. When everything feels immediate, you do not have time to ask whether the effort is mutual. You only have time to respond. That is how old patterns protect themselves. They keep you moving. The movement feels productive. The movement feels loving. The movement feels like devotion. Still, sometimes all that movement is keeping you from seeing something very plain. Someone who wants to participate in your life must participate. Not perfectly, not constantly, not without mistakes. They must move too. This sounds obvious when spoken slowly. Yet many people spend years trying to compensate for the absence of that movement. You send more warmth into a cold exchange. You add another invitation. You open another conversation. You give another benefit of the doubt. You adjust your schedule. You lower the pressure. You raise the affection. You become endlessly creative about keeping connection alive. Eventually, you may forget that there was supposed to be movement from the other side. This is where self-respect begins asking you to look, not accusingly, clearly. When you stop supplying all the motion, what remains? When you stop reminding someone you exist, what do they remember on their own? When you stop carrying every conversation forward, does it still have a direction? When you stop solving every silence, does the other person ever cross it? When you stop volunteering your availability, do they create room for you? These questions are not tests. Do not use them as hidden experiments. Do not withdraw warmth for 3 days and watch the clock. Do not create silence as punishment. Do not pretend to disappear in order to force proof. That is still pursuit, only wearing different clothing. You are not trying to control the answer. You are making enough room to see it. This distinction matters. A test says, I will behave differently, so you give me the response I want. Self-respect says, I will stop over-functioning so reality has room to speak. Reality may speak softly. Someone reaches, someone remembers, someone follows through. Someone asks how you are without needing something. Someone makes the plan. Someone returns to the conversation. Someone repairs what they damaged. Someone demonstrates that your presence has weight in their life. Or reality may speak another way. Nothing happens. The silence remains. The effort disappears because it had mostly been yours. The connection becomes thin because you were the one holding its shape. This can hurt deeply. Still, it is cleaner than endless uncertainty. You deserve to know the difference between a bond and a habit you have been maintaining. You deserve to know whether someone is walking with you or being carried by your hope. There is no shame if you discover you have carried too much. You did it because some part of you believed effort could protect you from loss. That belief deserves understanding. It may have begun when affection felt conditional. It may have begun when you learned to become agreeable to preserve peace. It may have begun after one painful rejection that convinced you to work harder next time. It may have formed gradually through relationships where you were praised for how much you gave and rarely asked what the giving cost you. You adapted. Human beings adapt. Then adaptation becomes habit. Habit becomes expectation. Expectation becomes identity. You start saying, "This is just who I am." You may be a deeply giving person. Keep that. Keep your tenderness. Keep your thoughtfulness. Keep your willingness to care. The lesson is not to become less loving. It is to stop placing your best qualities where they are required to compensate for someone else's consistent absence. Your generosity should have somewhere to land. Your honesty should be met by honesty. Your effort should meet effort often enough that you do not feel as though the entire connection depends on your strength. Your patience should not become permission for indefinite uncertainty. Your understanding should not be used against you. That is the deeper shift happening now. You are beginning to separate kindness from overextension. You are beginning to separate compassion from access. You are beginning to separate forgiveness from continuation. You are beginning to separate desire from decision. You can want someone and still decide that the current arrangement is not healthy for you. You can miss someone and still refuse to return to the same pattern. You can feel tenderness and still keep a boundary. You can remember beautiful moments without using them to excuse painful ones. You can hope someone grows without waiting indefinitely for the growth. Two truths can live together. You cared. You needed more. You saw good in them. You were hurting. You wanted it to work. You became tired. There was beauty. There was confusion. You do not have to erase one truth to honor another. Maturity can hold both. This is especially important when your heart wants a simple verdict, good or bad, right or wrong, meant for me or never real. Human connection is often more complicated. Someone can matter greatly and still not be able to meet you. Someone can have good qualities and still create a pattern that diminishes your peace. Someone can care and still remain unavailable. Someone can have sincere intentions and still fail to follow through. You do not need to make them terrible before you are permitted to choose differently. You are allowed to leave a pattern because it hurts. You are allowed to change the terms of access. You are allowed to become less available to inconsistency. You are allowed to stop investing where there is no shared direction. This is how you stop training yourself to tolerate what you would never intentionally choose. Your behavior teaches you too. Every time you ignore your own limit, part of you learns that your limits are negotiable. Every time you say no and then reverse it from fear, part of you learns that anxiety outranks your decision. Every time you abandon your plans because someone suddenly becomes available, part of you learns that their time matters more. Every time you accept an apology without any change and immediately restore everything, part of you learns that words are sufficient even when behavior remains the same. Every time you silence yourself to preserve connection, part of you learns that belonging requires disappearance. This is why boundaries are not only messages to other people, they are messages to you. A boundary says, I will not abandon myself to avoid temporary discomfort. It says, I can tolerate another person's disappointment. It says, I can survive someone misunderstanding me. It says, I can remain kind without changing my decision. It says, as I can care without surrendering my judgment. It says, I trust myself enough to respond to patterns. The more often you live this way, the less you need dramatic declarations about your value. You begin to experience it. Your confidence becomes practical. It is no longer a phrase. It becomes how you spend your time, how you respond to inconsistency, how you protect sleep, how you choose conversations, how you stop negotiating against your own well-being. This is the kind of confidence that changes your relationships because it changes what you participate in. Not everyone will like it. Some people benefited from the version of you who had no clear limit. Some people were comfortable when you always adjusted. Some people liked knowing you would forgive without requiring repair. Some people preferred you uncertain because uncertainty made you easier to keep near without offering much. You do not need to accuse them of doing this consciously. People often adapt to what is available. If you keep offering unlimited access, some will take it. If you keep accepting last-minute effort, some will learn that last-minute effort is sufficient. If you keep saying everything is fine when it is not, people may believe you. If you repeatedly stay after your needs are dismissed, the pattern can become established. This is where responsibility becomes empowering rather than blaming. You are not responsible for someone else's poor behavior. You are responsible for what you continue consenting to when you have the freedom and safety to choose differently. That distinction is important. There are situations where leaving, speaking up, or setting limits may not feel safe. There are relationships involving coercion, threats, violence, financial control, stalking, isolation, or fear. Those situations require more than inner work. They deserve practical support and careful safety planning. No affirmation should ever be used to minimize danger. For ordinary patterns of overgiving and under-receiving, however, you can begin changing your participation one choice at a time. You do not need a ceremony. You need consistency. Consistency with yourself. A quieter answer, a slower yes, a clear no, a question asked directly, a plan you keep even when someone becomes available at the last minute, a conversation you stop rescuing when the other person refuses to engage, a standard you do not lower simply because loneliness appears. Loneliness can be persuasive. It can make almost fit relationships look like destiny. It can make inconsistent attention feel precious. It can make you nostalgic for things that were hurting you. It can make you remember the tenderness and forget the confusion. You may feel this most strongly at night. The room is quieter. There is less distraction. Old messages call to mind whole seasons. A song can bring back a face. A date can bring back a promise. A familiar hour can make the body expect something that no longer comes. This is where you need compassion more than discipline. Do not scold yourself for missing someone. Missing is not instruction. Longing is not a command. Memory is not a contract. You can miss what was beautiful without returning to what was unsustainable. You can let tenderness move through you without turning it into pursuit. You can feel the old urge to reach and stay where you are. This is not denial. It is learning that feeling and action are different things. You can feel strongly and choose wisely. You can want and wait. You can ache and remain grounded. You can remember and keep your boundary. That is emotional adulthood. It is not glamorous. It is deeply freeing. And now, somewhere inside this shift, another kind of understanding becomes possible. Picture an ordinary evening near a small railway platform. Nothing dramatic is happening. The light has begun to soften. The day's noise has thinned. People move through familiar routines. A few footsteps, a bench, the rails running forward. A schedule known by those who use it often. And every evening near the same hour, a dog arrives. No one has to drag it there. No one has to send it reminders. No one has to explain what the hour means. Its body already knows the route. It walks toward the platform because something familiar matters there. It has learned the sound of arrival. It has learned the rhythm. It knows that someone important comes home on the evening train. There is something deeply simple about this. The dog does not stand in the town barking instructions toward the tracks. It does not run miles beside the rails trying to pull the train closer. It does not believe that greater effort will make the arrival more sincere. It goes where it belongs. It waits where meeting is possible, and the train must still travel its own distance. This is not a promise about another person. It is a lesson about movement. What has a true place in your life cannot be built entirely from your footsteps. There must be movement that is not manufactured by you. There must be some voluntary approach, some return, some remembering, some willingness, some evidence that the road is not being traveled from one side alone. The dog knows the evening hour, but it does not control the train. That matters. You can know what you desire without controlling how another human being chooses. You can be ready for closeness without forcing anyone into readiness. You can prepare your heart without assigning a particular person the role of fulfilling it. You can stand in your own place without running along the tracks. There is dignity in knowing where to stand. Many people lose years because they confuse faith with pursuit. They think belief means going farther, trying harder, sending another message, giving another chance before this last one has been honored, making another excuse, waiting without limit. But the deepest form of trust may ask less motion from you. It may ask you to become clear about your own place. What kind of relationship can you stand inside without losing yourself? What kind of communication belongs there? What kind of consistency? What kind of care? What kind of honesty? What kind of safety? These are not demands placed on a specific person. They are descriptions of the platform where your life can meet what suits it. You do not have to drag anyone there. You do not have to persuade someone to want the kind of connection you want. You can state your needs. You can listen to theirs. You can see whether the paths actually meet. If they do, there will be movement. If they do not, more pursuit cannot create true compatibility. The evening dog does not confuse familiarity with control. It knows where to go. Then it waits. Not forever, not without reality. It waits because a real pattern has shown itself. The sound comes. The arrival happens. The one it expects appears because that person has actually been coming home. There is history beneath the trust. This is important for you. Trust should not be demanded from you without evidence. You do not owe endless faith to repeated inconsistency. You can let trust grow from what is lived. A promise kept, then another, a conversation completed, an apology followed by different behavior, a plan made and honored, a difficult truth spoken without cruelty, a need heard without punishment. These are the small arrivals from which trust is built, not speeches, not intensity, not potential, not the beautiful things someone says when afraid of losing access to you. Trust grows from recognizable movement, again and again. This is why your new way of relating may feel less dramatic. You are no longer trying to build certainty from fantasy. You are looking at what actually arrives. You are watching what moves toward you without being pulled. That does not mean you become passive. Relationships require initiative. You will still reach out. You will still express affection. You will still make plans. You will still apologize. You will still risk vulnerability. You will still sometimes take the first step. The difference is that your steps are no longer the entire journey. You take one step and leave room for another. You speak and listen. You offer and observe. You move forward without dragging. This balance is delicate when you are used to doing too much. At first, leaving room can feel like emptiness. You may want to fill it quickly. You may feel exposed. What if they do not come closer? What if the conversation ends? What if the invitation is not returned? What if the relationship fades? These possibilities are painful. Still, they are valuable information. You do not need to keep something alive solely because you fear discovering that it cannot breathe without you. Let it show you. Let people show you. Let time show you. Let repeated behavior show you. This is not cynical observation. It is mature openness. You remain kind. You remain reachable. You remain capable of affection. You stop replacing evidence with effort. You stop walking both routes. The dog returns to the platform because there has been a pattern worth trusting. It does not need to question its right to be there. It does not compare itself with every person passing by. It does not wonder whether it has become impressive enough for the train to arrive. Its devotion is not a performance. Its presence is enough. Let this reach the part of you that has spent years performing for affection. Your presence does not need decoration to deserve reciprocity. You do not need to become harder to forget. You do not need to become flawless. You do not need to be the most beautiful person someone has ever seen. You do not need to be endlessly fascinating. You do not need to become useful enough that departure feels impossible. You only need to become honest about whether the connection in front of you has its own feet. Does it move? Does it approach? Does it return? Does it participate? Does it remember? Does it repair? Does it make its way toward meeting without needing constant pulling? These questions bring you back to reality. And reality, even when disappointing, is kinder than living indefinitely in pursuit of a possibility. You can survive an answer. You can survive a quiet platform. You can survive discovering that a particular arrival is not coming. What you do not need to do anymore is leave yourself there forever, staring down empty tracks and calling that devotion. Your life is moving too. Your days matter. Your years matter. Your sleep matters. Your capacity for tenderness matters. There are places within you that have waited long enough for your own return. Tonight you begin returning there. You stop measuring your value by who appears. You stop trying to earn movement from people who remain still. You stop mistaking waiting without evidence for loyalty. You begin respecting what actually comes toward you. Not because every arrival must stay forever, because mutual movement is the minimum condition for meeting. That understanding may settle slowly. Let it. You do not need to force conviction. You are learning a new way of standing, a new way of watching, a new way of trusting, a new way of refusing to run the whole distance for someone else. The platform is not a place of desperation. It is a place of meeting. And meeting takes two directions, becoming one moment. Meeting changes when you stop arriving for both people. You begin to understand that openness is not the same as overextension. You can be warm without leaning forward all the time. You can care without making yourself endlessly available. You can speak clearly without trying to manage the response. You can offer tenderness without turning it into a bargain. You can let another person decide whether they will step closer. This can feel unfamiliar because much of your old effort may have been built around preventing uncertainty. You wanted the answer before the answer had been lived. You wanted reassurance before trust had been earned. You wanted to know that something would last before enough time had passed to show you whether it could. So you tried to secure the future with more effort in the present. You were not wrong for wanting security. You were trying to create safety with the tools you knew. Now you are learning a quieter way. Instead of asking how much you can do to keep someone near, you begin asking whether closeness can survive without you carrying it. Instead of asking how to become unforgettable, you begin watching whether you are naturally remembered. Instead of trying to make yourself impossible to leave, you begin building a life you do not have to leave inside yourself. That is a profound change. It does not announce itself loudly. It appears in small moments. You do not send the second message because the first one already said what needed to be said. You do not rearrange an entire day for someone who has not made a clear plan. You do not keep guessing what another person wants while hiding what you want. You do not rush to soothe tension you did not create. You do not make your needs smaller just because someone reacts poorly to hearing them. You become less interested in managing impressions, more interested in living truthfully. This is where your inner ground becomes stronger, not rigid, strong. A tree can move in wind without surrendering its roots. You can adapt without abandoning what matters. You can reconsider. You can apologize. You can soften. You can learn. You can change your mind. You can meet someone halfway. But halfway has meaning only when someone else is moving too. Otherwise, you are not meeting. You are traveling. There is a difference. The image of that evening platform can stay with you here. The dog arrives because it knows the hour from experience. Its paws carry it along a familiar path. It does not arrive frantic. It does not race beyond the station. It does not run down the rails searching for the train. It knows the place where meeting happens. Then it remains there. That simplicity holds a lesson your old patterns may resist. You do not have to travel beyond yourself to create connection. You can come fully to your own place. You can be present. You can be honest. You can be reachable. You can make room. Then you can see what comes toward meeting. The train has its own engine, its own direction, its own movement. Its arrival does not depend on the dog pulling it forward. Your life needs this distinction. Other people have their own engines. Their choices have to come from them. Their honesty has to come from them. Their readiness has to come from them. Their effort has to come from them. Their decision to repair has to come from them. You can influence a relationship through your behavior. You cannot supply another person's willingness. This is one of the hardest truths for a generous heart, because generosity wants to help. It sees distance and wants to close it. It sees confusion and wants to clarify it. It sees pain and wants to soothe it. It sees fear and wants to reassure it. There is beauty in that impulse. Still, you cannot do another person's inner work for them. You cannot become clear enough for someone committed to remaining vague. You cannot become patient enough to make avoidance disappear. You cannot become attractive enough to create emotional capacity. You cannot become understanding enough to turn inconsistency into reliability. You cannot become loyal enough to make someone ready. You can inspire. You can encourage. You can invite. You cannot carry another person's side of the crossing. Once you accept that, your heart does not become colder. It becomes less burdened. You stop treating every difficult connection as a problem you were assigned to solve. You stop assuming that failure to create closeness means failure in you. You begin to understand that sometimes two people want different things. Sometimes one is ready and one is not. Sometimes there is affection without compatibility. Sometimes timing really does matter. Sometimes someone has good intentions but limited capacity. Sometimes a connection teaches you something and still does not become permanent. None of these possibilities require you to diminish yourself. They require honesty. There is dignity in saying, "This matters to me." There is also dignity in saying, "This does not meet me." There is dignity in saying, "I care about you." There is dignity in saying, "I cannot continue this way." There is dignity in saying, "I hoped for more." There is dignity in accepting what is actually here. The more clearly you stand, the less you need to force outcomes. You stop trying to persuade someone into seeing your value. You stop gathering evidence for your case. You stop presenting all the reasons you would be good together. You stop hoping one perfect conversation will awaken what months of behavior have not shown. You let people have their freedom. That can sound frightening until you remember that freedom works both ways. If someone is free not to choose the kind of relationship you want, you are free not to build your life around their uncertainty. If someone is free to move slowly, you are free to desist. Do whether that pace suits you. If someone is free to remain unavailable, you are free to protect your emotional space. If someone is free to disagree with your boundary, you are free to keep it. This is not punishment. It is adulthood. Two people with agency deciding what they can honestly offer. There is far more peace in this than in trying to win. You were never meant to win a person. You were meant to meet people. Meeting is mutual. Meeting contains choice. Meeting contains reality. Meeting requires two lives, not one person performing enough devotion for both. Let that truth rest near the old part of you that still thinks more effort might finally secure certainty. That part does not need to be humiliated. It needs reassurance. You can tell it. We do not have to earn movement. We do not have to drag the train. We do not have to run beyond the platform. We can stand where meeting is possible and watch what is real. There is a sentence I want you to let into yourself now. Do not force it. Do not use it as a command. Let it arrive like something you are considering. What belongs with me walks toward meeting. You may feel resistance. That is all right. A part of you may immediately say, but what if nothing comes? A part may say, if I stop working so hard, I will be forgotten. A part may say, people only stay when I make myself useful. A part may say, I have waited before and been disappointed. Those voices are not enemies. They are old protectors. They learned that action felt safer than uncertainty. They learned that effort could delay endings. They learned that being needed sometimes felt close to being cherished. Do not argue with them. Offer them something smaller. I am willing to let movement be mutual. That may be enough for tonight. You do not have to believe a grand promise. You do not have to imagine a perfect future. You only need enough willingness to stop walking every mile alone. If the longer sentence feels easier now, let it return. What belongs with me walks toward meeting. No prediction lives inside those words. They do not name a person. They do not guarantee an arrival. They do not tell you that everything you desire must become yours. They remind you of reciprocity. Anything that becomes part of a healthy shared life requires participation from more than one side. That is all, and that is plenty. It means your future is not built by chasing reluctant people. It means connection is not created by one person refusing to let go of possibility. It means your readiness matters. but another person's readiness matters too. It means you can be open without assigning anyone a role they have not freely chosen. This is safer for your heart. It is safer because it keeps hope connected to reality. It lets you desire without demanding. It lets you dream without turning imagination into evidence. It lets you stay tender without handing your entire emotional life to someone else's decision. You become a person who can want deeply and still stand. That is strength, not numbness, not indifference. Strength. You can say, I would welcome this, and still sleep. You can say, I care, and still eat dinner. You can say, I hope we grow closer, and still keep your plans. You can say, I am disappointed, and still remain on your own side. You can say, I miss you, and still refrain from reopening a pattern that repeatedly hurt you. Your emotions no longer have to become instructions. They can be messages, information, movement inside the body. They can rise, they can pass, they can teach. You can feel longing without obeying every impulse longing creates. You can feel loneliness without lowering your conditions for closeness. You can feel desire without abandoning discernment. You can feel sadness without turning backward. This is where your standards stop being theories. They become lived choices. A standard is not a list you recite to someone else. It is what you consistently participate in. You can say you value clear communication. The deeper question is what you do when communication remains chronically unclear. You can say you value honesty. The deeper question is what you do when dishonesty repeats. You can say you value consideration. The deeper question is what you do when your time is repeatedly treated as optional. You can say you want mutual effort. The deeper question is whether you keep supplying the missing half. Your life learns from action more than intention. If you keep staying inside the opposite of what you say you want, confusion grows inside you. You begin to doubt your own word. That is why even small boundaries matter. They rebuild trust between you and you. You say, I will not answer difficult conversations while I am being insulted. Then you stop the conversation when insults begin. You say, I need plans with reasonable clarity. Then you stop holding entire days open for uncertain invitations. You say, I want reciprocity. Then you stop performing endless maintenance for one-sided contact. You say, I need honesty. Then you take dishonesty seriously when it appears. This does not mean one mistake ends everything. Human beings need room to repair. A boundary is not a demand for perfection. It is a line around what you can participate in with integrity. Repair can cross that line. Accountability can cross it. Changed behavior can cross it. Repeated excuses cannot do the same work. You will become better at knowing the difference. Your body often knows first. A sincere repair may bring relief without requiring you to abandon discernment. An empty apology may leave the old tightness exactly where it was. You do not have to judge instantly, team. Me helps. Patterns clarify. Let behavior accumulate enough evidence. You have rushed to conclusions before because uncertainty frightened you. Now you can let truth reveal itself through repetition. Consistency has a sound, like a familiar train approaching from far down the track. You do not have to invent the sound. You hear it because something is actually moving. A kept word, a returned call, a plan honored, a concern remembered, an effort made without prompting, a difficult conversation revisited because it matters, a boundary respected even when it is inconvenient. These are not spectacular gestures. They are how trust becomes real. You may have been trained by dramatic relationships to overlook ordinary reliability. Do not overlook it now. There is tenderness in someone remembering what matters to you. There is intimacy in being able to speak without fear of punishment. There is beauty in knowing where you stand. There is depth in repair that does not require begging. There is romance in consistency too. It may not create the same rush as uncertainty. It creates room to breathe. And breathing room is where your real self can appear. The playful self, the honest self, the self who does not monitor every word, the self who can disagree, the self who can rest, the self who does not need to be impressive every hour, the self who can be ordinary and still feel cherished. That is a beautiful kind of closeness. You are preparing for it by no longer romanticizing what exhausts you. You are becoming less available for the idea that suffering proves depth. Pain can accompany meaningful relationships because people are human. Pain is not proof of significance. Confusion is not proof of destiny. Waiting is not proof of devotion. Intensity is not proof of compatibility. You do not need to make a difficult situation sacred just because it changed you. You can take the lesson and still leave the pattern. You can honor what happened without worshiping it. You can say, "This taught me what I need." You can say, "This showed me where I abandoned myself." You can say, "This helped me hear my own voice." You can say, "I am grateful for what I learned and I choose differently now." That is enough. You do not need a dramatic ending to validate a quieter beginning. The quieter beginning is already here. It is happening every time you refuse to bargain against yourself. Every time you stop before over-explaining. Every time you let another adult carry responsibility for their own choices. Every time you keep your dignity without turning it into pride. Every time you remain open while refusing to beg. This is how you raise the level of what you participate in, not through a speech, through congruence. Your words and choices begin to match. Your heart says, "I need steadiness." Your life begins choosing steadier people and steady ease or patterns. Your heart says, "I need respect." Your choices stop making endless room for contempt. Your heart says, "I need mutual effort." Your behavior stops compensating for chronic absence. Your heart says, I need peace. Your evenings stop revolving around unanswered uncertainty. It may take practice. You may return to old habits sometimes. You may send the message you promised yourself you would not send. You may explain too much. You may forgive too quickly. You may reopen a door because you miss what was behind it. Do not use those moments to attack yourself. Change does not become stronger through shame. See what happened. Learn. Return. That is enough. Self-trust is built through returning, not perfection. Returning. You drift toward old fear. You return. You feel tempted to prove yourself. You return. You begin imagining that someone else's distance means something terrible about you. You return. You start carrying both sides. You return. Each return makes the path more familiar. Soon, your own ground begins to feel like home. This is what the dog knows each evening. The path to the platform is familiar because it has been walked many times. Your new path becomes familiar the same way, through repetition, not repeating words endlessly, repeating choices, choosing truth, choosing rest, choosing reciprocity, choosing clear limits, choosing to believe behavior, choosing to keep your own life moving, choosing not to wait at a station where no real schedule has ever existed. That last distinction protects you. You do not turn the metaphor into fantasy. The dog trusts a known pattern. It does not invent trains. It does not stare at unused tracks and declare that faith will make one appear. Your inner work should remain grounded in the same way. You can prepare yourself for healthy connection. You can become more available to honesty. You can strengthen your boundaries. You can deepen your self-respect. You cannot guarantee who arrives, when they arrive, or whether one particular relationship becomes what you hoped. Readiness is yours. Another person's choice is theirs. That freedom keeps the heart clean. No manipulation, no secret bargain, no spiritual promise that someone must return. You are not using these words to control anyone. You are using them to stop abandoning yourself. And because this is a love-centered practice, one truth needs to be said plainly. These words can support self-respect, reflection, and emotional readiness. They are not a substitute for safety. If a connection harms your body or spirit, frightens you, controls you, isolates you, threatens you, or repeatedly makes you unsafe, real support and practical help matter. You do not have to affirm your way through danger. You deserve people, resources, and protection that help you become safer. That is null at failure. That is wisdom. For relationships that are not dangerous but are simply unequal, unclear, or draining, your work is quieter. You can observe, you can speak, you can choose, you can step back, you can decide what access fits the behavior being offered. You do not have to hate someone to reduce their access. You do not have to become angry to become clear. You do not have to prove they are wrong before you choose what is right for you. This is where your dignity becomes peaceful. It does not need revenge. It does not need anyone to regret losing you. It does not need a future scene where someone finally understands. Those fantasies can keep you connected to the very person you are trying to release. You do not need their regret. You need your return. You do not need them to witness your transformation. You need to live it. You do not need them to see you become stronger. You need to feel yourself standing differently. That is freedom. A freedom that does not depend on an audience. A freedom that does not wait for applause. A freedom that does not secretly hope your absence becomes someone else's punishment. You can walk forward without turning around to see whether anyone is watching. That may be one of the cleanest forms of self-respect. The platform remains a meeting place, not a stage. You are not standing there to prove anything. You are standing where your own values are intact. You know what kind of movement matters now. You know what reciprocity feels like. You know the difference between being pursued for a moment and being consistently considered. You know the difference between intensity and reliability. You know the difference between words that soothe temporarily and actions that create trust. This knowing becomes part of you. It changes what attracts your attention. You begin noticing steadiness sooner. You stop dismissing people just because they do not create anxiety. You stop confusing emotional unpredictability with excitement. You become more interested in people whose actions have a recognizable rhythm. People who arrive when they say they will. People who can answer simple questions simply. People who do not make affection feel like a prize. People who can hear no. People who can offer no without cruelty. People who repair. People who remain human without making you responsible for managing their humanity. You do not need perfect people. You need enough consistency to build reality together, and you need to become someone who offers that too. This is not only about what others should give you. You are part of the meeting. Your word matters. Your honesty matters. Your reliability matters. Your capacity to respect another person's boundary matters. Your willingness to apologize matters. Your willingness to say what you can and cannot offer matters. Healthy standards apply inward too. You are not acing yourself above anyone. You are choosing reciprocity. You become the kind of person who does not keep others in indefinite uncertainty. You do not offer future promises you know you cannot keep. You do not accept affection you have no intention of returning while enjoying the attention. You do not punish people for needing clarity. You do not demand access after they have asked for distance. You become cleaner in your own behavior. That is how self-respect becomes relational integrity. It is not, treat me perfectly. It is, let us both be honest about what is here. That honesty protects everyone. And if these words have reached something true in you tonight, You can leave A if this found you at the right time. Nothing more is required, no declaration, no promise. Just a small sign that you recognized yourself here. Then come back inward. Come back to the sentence one final time. Let it be less like an affirmation you must convince yourself of, and more like a direction you are learning to trust. What belongs with me walks toward meeting. You do not have to run after it. You do not have to drag it closer. You do not have to turn yourself into someone else to deserve mutual movement. Your part is to stand honestly, to remain open, to remain discerning, to keep your own feet beneath you, to let what is real reveal its direction. Tonight, that is enough. You can stop walking both sides of the road. You can let another person's movement belong to them. And you can keep your own life moving forward. Forward does not have to mean fast. Sometimes forward is the decision to stop interrupting your own peace. Sometimes it is the evening when you finally understand that another person's uncertainty does not require your participation. Sometimes it is the moment you stop building a future out of occasional attention. Sometimes it is simply the night you become less frightened of an empty space than of filling that space with the wrong thing. There is maturity in that. You are not closing yourself. You are becoming more honest about where you open. You are not rejecting connection. You are refusing to build it alone. You are not deciding that everyone must come toward you while you give nothing. You are deciding that healthy meeting contains movement from both sides. That distinction will protect the tenderness you have spent so much of your life giving away. You can remain generous. You can remain interested. You can remain expressive. You can write first sometimes. You can plan something beautiful. You can make the call. You can say that you miss someone. You can admit that you care. Nothing about self-respect requires emotional games. The shift is in what happens next. Do you leave room for another person to answer with their own movement? Do you let their actions have meaning? Do you keep enough of yourself at hold? Me that you can observe rather than immediately compensate? This is where your life becomes less exhausting. You no longer need to interpret every quiet moment as an emergency. You no longer need to make yourself responsible for maintaining another adult's interest. You no longer need to decide that a changing mood means you have done something wrong. You become curious instead of frantic. You watch. You listen. You speak when speaking is needed. You wait when waiting is natural. You leave when leaving becomes necessary. You stay when staying remains honest. There is no single rule for every relationship. There is only the growing ability to remain present inside yourself while you discover what is true. That ability may be one of the strongest things you ever build. Because the old fear was not only that someone might leave. The deeper fear was that their leaving would take something essential from you. Your confidence, your sense of desirability, your hope, your future, your belief that you could be deeply known, your belief that you could begin again. Now another truth is becoming stronger. Loss can hurt without defining you. Disappointment can bend you without becoming your identity. Someone can choose another path without making yours lesser. Someone can fail to recognize what you offered without reducing its sincerity. Someone can misunderstand you without becoming the final judge of who you are. You remain. This matters. You remain after the unanswered message. You remain after the ending. You remain after the apology you never received. You remain after the future you imagined changes shape. You remain after someone decides they cannot continue. You remain when you decide you cannot continue. And because you remain, you can begin again without beginning from nothing. You bring understanding. You bring discernment. You bring the lessons your tenderness has paid for. You bring clearer eyes. You bring a stronger relationship with your own voice. You bring the ability to see earlier when you are being asked to carry too much. This is not baggage. It is knowledge when held without bitterness. You can become wiser without becoming guarded against everyone. You can learn from what hurt without treating every new person as though they caused it. You can protect yourself without demanding proof of betrayal before trust has even had a chance to grow. Healthy discernment is not suspicion. It is attention without panic. You see what is present. You do not invent what is missing. You do not exaggerate one beautiful gesture into a whole future. You do not turn one mistake into a permanent verdict either. You let patterns form. You let people be human. You remain human too. You become interested in consistency over performance. Someone does not have to dazzle you. They have to be real. They do not have to read your mind. They have to be willing to listen. They do not have to know exactly what to say every time. They have to care about understanding. They do not have to be fearless. They have to be responsible for what they do with fear. You do not need perfection from yourself either. You may still have nights when the old ache returns. You may still want to check. You may still wish someone would say the thing you once hoped to hear. You may still imagine how different everything could have been. Let those moments pass through without turning them into instructions. Memory is permitted. Sadness is permitted. Hope is permitted. The past is permitted to have mattered. None of it has to become your direction. Your direction is chosen in the present, and the present can be quieter than the stories your mind creates. Right now, there is no conversation to solve, no future to guarantee, no person to persuade. There is only this hour. There is your body beginning to understand that it does not have to remain on duty. There is the room around you. There is the ordinary miracle of not needing to perform for this moment. This moment asks nothing from you. You do not have to be interesting. You do not have to be attractive. You do not have to be useful. You do not have to have the right response. You do not have to know who stays. You do not have to know what comes next. For now, you can be a person at rest. That identity may feel unfamiliar if you have spent years being the one who handles things, the one who checks, the one who remembers, the one who reaches, the one who repairs, the one who keeps everyone connected. There is goodness in being dependable. There is also goodness in laying down what was never entirely yours to carry. The evening platform remains quiet in your mind, the familiar path leading toward it, the worn place where paws have traveled many times, the rails reaching into distance. The small shift in sound before arrival can be seen. The dog does not understand the mechanics of the engine. It does not need to. It knows the difference between going to the meeting place and trying to control the journey. That difference is becoming yours. You can go to the places where genuine connection becomes possible. Honesty, openness, clear speech, reliable behavior, respect for yourself and the other person, room for differences, room for repair, room for choice. Then you stop trying to operate another person's engine. Their journey belongs to them. That sentence may free more of you than you realize. Their journey belongs to them. Their readiness is not your assignment. Their fear is not yours to conquer. Their confusion is not yours to solve forever. Their inability to choose is not a request for you to wait without limit. Their growth cannot be scheduled by your longing. Their capacity is not a reflection of your value. Their movement belongs to them. Your movement belongs to you. You can decide where your feet go. You can decide how long you remain somewhere. You can decide whether the meeting place still fits your life. You can decide what you do when the pattern changes. You can decide whether your own promises to yourself mean something. This is where freedom stops being an idea. It becomes behavior. You keep your evening instead of abandoning it for a vague possibility. You close your eyes instead of keeping watch over a screen. You stop rehearsing how to become more convincing. You let silence remain silent until it contains real information. You let another person miss an opportunity to meet you if that is what they choose. You do not rush in to prevent every consequence. People need room to experience the natural result of their choices, and you need room to experience the result of yours. When you choose yourself consistently, something changes inside. You stop feeling like the abandoned one every time someone cannot accompany you. You become the one who remains, the one who does not disappear from her own life, the one who does not trade her sleep for uncertainty, the one who does not trade her voice for temporary closeness, the one who does not trade clear seeing for comforting fantasy. There is tremendous softness in becoming that person. You do not need armor when you trust yourself to respond. Armor is often built when we believe we cannot survive being hurt again. Self-trust says something different. I can be open because I will listen to myself. I can care because I will not abandon myself to keep someone. I can take emotional risks because I know how to come home. I can face disappointment without making it a verdict. I can welcome another person without handing them the keys to my identity. This makes tenderness safer, not perfectly safe. No meaningful relationship is perfectly safe from disappointment, but safer. Because you are no longer asking another person to protect you from every possible ache. You are trusting your own capacity to meet reality. That makes your yes more honest. It also makes your no more peaceful. You do not need to shout it. You do not need to decorate it. You do not need 10 paragraphs. No can be kind. No can be calm. No can contain grief. No can contain affection. No can mean I care, and I cannot continue this arrangement. No can mean I understand, and this still does not work for me. No can mean I forgive what happened, and access is still changing. No can mean I wish you well from farther away. There are doors in life that close without hatred. There are journeys that separate without anyone becoming worthless. There are endings that are not failures. Sometimes an ending is simply where two directions stop sharing the same track. You do not have to stand in the distance calling one direction back. You can honor what was, then turn toward what remains yours. Your own path, your own morning, your own work, your own people, your own curiosity, your own laughter, your own future invitations, your own ability to be surprised by life. There are still things you have not met, not promised things, unwritten things, experiences that are not yet yours to name, people you may or may not encounter, parts of yourself that become clearer when you are no longer occupied with proving your place. That openness is enough. You do not need a prophecy. You need room. Room is not emptiness. Room is where choice becomes possible. When you stop filling every space with fear, the space can become informative. You begin to see what you actually want, not what you were trained to accept, not what you think you can get, not what someone else is currently willing to offer, what you genuinely want. Perhaps you want steadiness. Perhaps you want playful companionship. Perhaps you want someone who can communicate without disappearing. Perhaps you want affection that is expressed, not merely implied. Perhaps you want freedom and closeness together. Perhaps you want a partnership where each person has a life and still makes a real place for the other. Perhaps you want something quieter than what used to attract you. You are permitted to discover that. You are permitted to outgrow your old attractions. You are permitted to realize that being intensely wanted for short periods does not satisfy you anymore. You are permitted to prefer calm. You are permitted to prefer clarity. You are permitted to prefer someone whose footsteps can be heard coming toward the same place. That image can become practical. When you meet someone, do not ask only how strongly you feel. Ask how the connection moves. Does everything depend on your initiative? Does interest survive ordinary days? Does care show itself beyond words? Do they make room? Do you make room? Can both of you speak honestly without the whole connection feeling threatened? Can you each have needs? Can you each be disappointed without becoming cruel? Can you each repair? These questions do not remove romance. They give romance somewhere stable to live. Your heart was never asking for less feeling. It was asking for less fear around the feeling. You can have depth without instability. You can have attraction without losing your center. You can have longing without becoming obedient to longing. You can share yourself without dissolving. You can belong with someone without ceasing to belong to yourself. Let that truth sink into the quieter parts of you now, the parts that do not need another lesson, the parts that only need rest. You have thought enough for one night. You have reviewed enough history. You have searched enough for the place where you went wrong. You do not need to solve your whole relational life before sleep comes. A rested mind can see things a frightened mind cannot. Tomorrow can carry tomorrow. For now, your task grows smaller. Stay with yourself. Let your body know the searching is finished for this hour. Let the face soften. Let the tongue rest. Let the hands become quiet. Let the shoulders lose their work. Let the space behind the eyes grow less busy. You have nothing to prove to the dark, nothing to win before morning, nothing to pull toward you, nothing to push away. The train will travel by its own engine. Your feet do not need to run beside it. If something requires a conversation, that conversation can happen when you are awake. If something requires a decision, clarity can meet you later. If something needs distance, you do not have to manufacture it tonight. This hour can remain simple. You are here. You are breathing. You are not required to earn rest. The old pattern may still whisper that you should check one more thing, You do not have to answer. It may say there is a message you should send. You do not have to move. It may tell you that silence means something terrible. Silence can be silence until reality says more. Your mind may create scenes. Let them fade unfinished. You do not need to watch every imaginary ending. You do not need to rehearse every future conversation. You do not need to prepare an argument in your sleep. Your body deserves hours that belong only to restoration. Let this be one of them. There is no emergency in not knowing. There is no failure in letting another person's choice remain outside your control. There is no weakness in resting while life remains unresolved. Unresolved does not mean unsafe. Unknown does not mean doomed. Distance does not always mean rejection. And when something truly is ending, you are still here. You remain. Again, not as a repeated command, as evidence. You have survived days you once thought would break you. You have carried grief before. You have outgrown versions of life you once begged to keep. You have learned after disappointment. You have laughed again after thinking laughter had gone. You have found appetite after sorrow. You have become interested in ordinary things again after heartbreak. Life has already shown you that one chapter cannot hold all of you. Remember that without forcing optimism, you do not need to believe everything happens for a reason. You only need to know that you can continue with dignity. Sometimes meaning comes later. Sometimes it does not need to come at all. Sometimes what happened was painful, and you learned because learning was how you cared for yourself afterward. That is enough. You are not responsible for turning every wound into a blessing. You are responsible for not building your permanent home inside the wound. Tonight, you are moving out of one old room. The room where your value waited on someone else's answer. You do not need to destroy that room. You can just stop sleeping there. There is another place within you, quieter, less crowded by other people's voices. It does not ask who is choosing you. It asks whether you are living in a way you can respect. It does not ask who regrets leaving. It asks whether you are returning to yourself. It does not ask how to become unforgettable. It asks whether your own life feels inhabited by you. This is the ground beneath attraction that does not consume you. You are here. You have preferences. You have choices. You have a voice. You have limits. You have tenderness. You have a future that does not require any single person to complete its meaning. Let the next words fall one at a time. Do not work at them. You do not need to believe every line perfectly. Some may fit, some may not. Let the ones that fit remain. I am present in my own life. I trust what consistent actions show me. I can care without overreaching. I choose mutual effort. I respect my own limits. I speak clearly. I listen inward. I stay honest. I keep my center. I welcome reciprocity. I do not audition. I do not overperform. I release persuasion. I release proving. I release guessing. I can wait calmly. I can choose freely. I can step back. I can stay open. I can say no. I can say yes. I can change course. I honor clear effort. I honor steady care. I trust real patterns. I welcome honest movement. I keep my dignity. I keep my peace. I keep my life. I remain myself. I am not for bargaining. I am not an afterthought. I am not a placeholder. I am here fully. I deserve reciprocity. I choose what meets me. I trust my discernment. I welcome consistency. I can be known. I can be seen. I can be met. I can rest. 2.5s. I can soften. I can breathe. I am here. I am safe here. I stay with me. Still here. Still whole. Still open. No proving. No pleading. No running. Just truth. Just rest. Now the lines can become quieter. The meaning can remain without effort. You do not need to memorize anything. The mind has heard enough. Let your jaw release what it has been holding. Let the forehead become smooth. Let your eyes become heavy. Let your shoulders sink. Let your hands become still. Let your fingers loosen. Let the chest move without being watched. Let the stomach release its guarding. Let the legs become heavy. Let the feet stop traveling. Nothing to pursue, nothing to explain, nothing to rescue, nothing to rehearse, nothing to decode. No unfinished message needs you now. No imagined conversation needs an answer. No memory needs correction. No future scene needs construction. No old rejection needs another trial. No absence needs interpretation. No silence needs filling. Let the platform grow quiet. Let the evening deepen. Let the rails disappear into darkness without asking where they end. The dog does not follow them. It knows where meeting happens. It knows where its own feet belong. There is wisdom in staying where your life can still reach you. Your own breath can reach you here. Your own body can reach you here. Your own inner voice can reach you here. Sleep can reach you here. You do not need to travel farther tonight. The day can loosen. The questions can loosen. The old effort can loosen. The need to be chosen can loosen. The fear of being forgotten can loosen. The wish to control an outcome can loosen. The urge to prove can loosen. The habit of shrinking can loosen. The old readiness to accept half can loosen. The body can become heavier. The thoughts can become farther apart. Your name no longer needs to be called by someone else for you to know who you are. Your place no longer needs to be confirmed from outside. Your dignity does not disappear in silence. Your tenderness does not become foolish because it was once misplaced. Your future does not close because one path closed. You can rest without knowing who will meet you later. You can rest because tonight you are meeting yourself. There is no need to turn that into another project. You are already here. Let that be enough. A breath comes, a breath leaves. The room remains. The night continues. Your mind can become less interested in answers. Your body can become more interested in sleep. That is a good exchange. Let the unanswered things remain unanswered. Let the unfinished things remain unfinished. Let the distant things remain distant. Let the other person's life belong to them. Let your life come back around you. The pillow, the blanket, the quiet, the darkness, the steady fact of your own presence. You do not have to stand guard over tomorrow. You do not have to wait at every possible arrival. You do not have to listen for footsteps that have not been promised. You can know the difference now. Real movement reveals itself. Real participation does not require endless invention. Real care can survive honesty. Real connection can make room for two full people. There is peace in no longer demanding that every possibility become a future. Some things are only possibilities. Some are lessons. Some are memories. Some become shared paths. You do not need to decide which tonight. You can let time do some of the work. Time reveals what urgency hides. Patterns become clearer. Choices become clearer. Your own voice becomes clearer when fear is not shouting over it. Sleep helps too. Rest is not avoidance when nothing useful can be solved at this hour. Rest can be preparation for clear seeing. Your eyes can close now. The platform does not need watching. If an arrival belongs to reality, your vigilance will not create it. If no arrival is coming, vigilance will not turn absence into presence. Either way, watching all night cannot protect you. This is why you can sleep, not because you have been guaranteed an outcome, because you no longer need an outcome to earn permission to rest. Your life is already here. Your body is already here. Your own companionship is already here. Let yourself become quiet enough to experience that. No performance, no persuasion, no bargaining, no racing. The old instinct to run can become still. The path beneath you is enough. The place where you stand is enough. You do not need to travel down the tracks. You do not need to call into the distance. Let what moves have its own feet. Let what chooses have its own voice. Let what stays show itself through staying. Let what cannot meet you go its own direction without taking you with it. The night does not ask you to solve that separation. It only asks you to rest where you are. The next breath, the next softening, the next quiet space. Your face is resting. Your shoulders are resting. Your hands are resting. Your chest is resting. Your legs are resting. Your feet are resting. They have traveled enough for today. No more extra miles. No more walking someone else's half. No more leaving yourself behind on the way to another person. Your feet can belong to you again. Your path can belong to you again. Your time can belong to you again. Your sleep can belong to you again. Let the whole body understand what the mind has been learning. You do not need to pursue what refuses to participate. You do not need to shrink to remain connected. You do not need to perform to remain visible. You do not need to sacrifice peace to prove sincerity. You can meet life standing upright inside yourself. You can let another person walk their own distance. You can see what arrives. You can see what does not. You can respond to both. And whatever tomorrow reveals, you can remain on your own side. That is enough strength for one night. Now let strength become softness. Let thought become quiet. Let watching become sleep. Let waiting become rest. Let the last part of you that has been standing at attention sit down. Nothing needs guarding. Nothing needs persuading. Nothing needs chasing. There is one more quiet truth your body can carry into the night. You do not have to decide your value from the speed of another person's response. A slow reply is not a measurement of you. A changed plan is not a measurement of you. Someone else's uncertainty is not a measurement of you. Their preferences are not a measurement of you. Their capacity is not a measurement of you. Their choice is information about their path, not a final description of yours. This is where the old habit can finally lose some of its authority. For years, you may have translated other people's behavior into statements about yourself. They became distant, and you heard, "You are forgettable." They chose differently, and you heard, "You were not valuable." They failed to follow through, and you heard, "You asked for too much." They stayed uncertain, and you heard, "You should try harder." Those translations were never facts. They were old interpretations made by a heart that wanted security. You can stop translating everything into self-judgment. You can let an action mean what it actually means. A person showed up or they did not. A promise was honored or it was not. A conversation became clearer or it remained unclear. A connection developed through shared movement or it depended mostly on one side. When you stay close to facts, you do not have to punish yourself with stories. Facts give you room to choose, and choice gives your body a different message. You are not trapped at the platform. You are not required to remain there after the pattern has changed. You are not required to wait because you once waited. You are not required to keep hoping because hope once felt beautiful. You are free to recognize when an hour has passed. You are free to walk home. That walk is not defeat. It is self-respect in motion. The dog who knows the evening train does not confuse devotion with endless waiting. Its trust comes from a real rhythm. The familiar sound has returned before. The footsteps from the carriage have appeared before. There has been meeting, not only imagination. Let your own trust become this grounded. Let it grow from what is demonstrated. Let it become stronger when words and behavior agree. Let it remain cautious when they do not. You do not need to hurry trust into existence because you want closeness. Trust can take the time it takes. You can enjoy a beginning without assigning it an ending. You can appreciate attention without turning it into a promise. You can feel a spark without writing the whole story around it. You can let someone be interesting before deciding they are important. You can let someone become important before deciding they are dependable. You can let dependability be shown across ordinary days. There is wisdom in sequence. First, a meeting, then another, a word kept, a small act remembered, a disagreement handled with respect, a plan that survives inconvenience, a difficult truth that does not end in punishment. This is how real trust becomes visible, not through pressure, not through fantasy, not through the fear of losing what has barely begun. You do not have to run ahead of your own life. You can let each stage reveal itself. That protects your heart without closing it. It also protects the other person from being turned into a role they never agreed to play. You meet them as they are. They meet you as you are. then both of you discover what is possible. There is dignity in not forcing possibility into certainty. There is freedom in not calling every strong feeling a sign. There is peace in letting a connection be measured by how it lives, not by how intensely it occupies your thoughts. Your mind may still wander toward old questions as sleep gets closer. Will they think of me? Will they reach out? Will they understand? Will anything change? You do not need to answer those questions tonight. They belong to time, behavior, and choices that have not happened yet. Bring your attention back to what is already yours. Your breathing, your room, your right to rest, your ability to wake tomorrow without having solved another person's heart. You can let unanswered questions remain at the far end of the track. They do not need to board your thoughts tonight. The station can become still again. The last footsteps can fade. The rails can cool under the night air. The dog can settle near the place it knows without straining toward the distance. No running beside the train. No attempt to pull tomorrow into tonight. Only the calm knowledge that movement reveals itself when it is real. You can live by that knowledge. You can give people room to show initiative. You can give yourself room to observe. You can stop filling every gap before another person has a chance to step into it. You can stop protecting people from the natural silence created by their own lack of participation. You can let a gap be a gap. Then you can decide whether that gap works for you. This is not cruelty. It is clarity without punishment. You are not withholding yourself to provoke pursuit. You are refusing to use overgiving as a substitute for mutuality. That choice will sometimes bring relief. At other times, it may bring grief. Both can be true. You can grieve what does not continue and still know you made a respectful choice. You can miss a person and still trust your decision. You can feel lonely and still protect the life you are building. A difficult feeling does not automatically mean a wrong decision. Sometimes difficult feelings are what accompany a new boundary before it becomes familiar. Your feet have taken the old route many times. Of course, the old route can feel automatic. The new route becomes familiar through living it. You speak clearly. You watch what follows. You do not explain yourself into exhaustion. You keep your plans. You keep friendships alive. You return attention to your work, your rest, your interests, your ordinary days. You stop placing your whole future inside one connection. This is how your world expands again. A wider world changes the meaning of one person's response. Their response can matter without becoming everything. Their presence can be welcome without becoming the center of your identity. Their absence can hurt without emptying your life. This is balance. This is what it feels like when your own feet remain beneath you. You are not asking the night to erase attachment. You are letting attachment exist inside a lay, your life. You are not asking yourself to stop caring. You are learning to care without disappearing. You are not asking for certainty about who comes next. You are strengthening the part of you that can meet whatever becomes clear. That part is awake inside you even as the rest of the body prepares for sleep. It does not need to stand guard. It does not need to keep scanning the distance. It can trust that tomorrow's information can be handled tomorrow. For now, the platform can empty. The day's final movement can fade into quiet. The path away from the tracks can become familiar beneath your feet. You know how to return to yourself. You are learning that return more deeply each time. You do not have to rush. You do not have to prove that you have learned everything. You only have to keep choosing what is true when the next real moment arrives. Until then, rest is a valid choice. Sleep is a valid choice. Not knowing is a valid place to be for one night. Let uncertainty remain unfinished. Let other people remain responsible for their own direction. Let your body be free from the duty of predicting them. You have spent many hours trying to read what was coming down the track. Tonight you can turn away from the distance. You can come home to the life that is already holding you. The answer does not have to arrive before you do. You can arrive first, back inside yourself. The evening hour is complete without a verdict. The tracks can rest beneath the dark. The path home is already known. You can stop listening for what is far away. Listen instead to the quiet that is already beside you. Then even that can fade. No task, no answer, no effort, just sleep. I stay where mutual footsteps can meet. You no longer chase, you attract. Let tomorrow find your feet already home.